Hello, welcome back to Insert Art. I'm Kat.
I'm Ariel.
And insert
Boba.
Chink. If that doesn't chink, we need one.
It's too heavy.
We're reimagining Neopets. It's still a thing.
No one plays it anymore. Does anyone play Neopets?
The last time I logged in was somewhere around 2008.
My account got hacked at one point. My hard-earned Neo points from like endless Mirka chase. And I was so angry I changed my password, and my new password was the entire verse of a song. So ever since then, I have not been able to log myself back in. Kat, what did the word reimagine mean to you?
In my head, it could be either way. Like it could be remodeling the designs that they've already got, or it could be like just totally throwing Neopets into some other situation. And so for whatever reason, my brain just like came up automatically with like mecha anime.
Oh, nice.
Neopets. I am really bad at drawing man-made objects, so wish me luck on this one.
Respect for just going with your gut instinct, even if you're not sure whether you can pull it off.
What are your plans?
I realized, just sort of analyzing why childhood felt so magical was because all these things like Neopets, Pokemon, they felt real to us. They didn't feel limited to being like in a screen.
Yeah.
And when we played these things, we were immersed in it. So I'm gonna draw me as a kid playing Neopets, and all my Neopets are actually around me, and we're playing that game together. Because that's how it felt.
Yeah, that's cute.
Okay,
Wish us
let's
luck.
get to imagining.
So I managed to break into my old Neopets account over the weekend and had a look at my two that I had left, and the one that I distinctly remember having was a loop. So I figured I would use him as my subject for this one. I started out trying to draw what ended up looking kind of like, if anyone remembers, Samurai Pizza Cats. It's really giving me like Samurai Pizza Cat vibes. I'm definitely aging myself. Because I'm not confident in my man-made drawing abilities. I wanted to keep it kind of like cutesy. As you can see, my reference is an LOL doll. If anyone has a 4-year-old daughter like me, you would know what those are. I liked the idea of having the ears still sort of to keep the dog wolf form. So I did multiple sketches trying to get the superhero landing pose correct in those proportions.
You're gonna do superhero landing. Wait for it.
And eventually I sort of came up with one I liked and did some more sort of definite lines. I decided I wanted to keep it kind of sketchy though. I'm not really particularly confident in my line work, I guess, to do those really nice finished
Do you reckon?
lines.
I thought your line work was actually pretty good. Every time I looked over, it was very calculated and careful.
Thank you. I just kind of like keeping them a bit more, I guess, sketchy than like just really clean finished lines. It's totally supposed to look like that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And then I started sort of blocking out all my colours. It took me a while to work out what colours I wanted to use for the mecha's form. And in the end, I did all the background colours, just really sketchy background colours, so I had an idea of what was sitting behind him. And then I could work out what would pop more in front of that. And then I had a look at some Gundams to see if there were any colours that I liked of those, and eventually came up with this sort of like pinky, purple, musky, grey colour, which worked and brought everything together in the end.
Yeah, I guess when you're painting like reflective materials like metal, it helps to know background colors because that's going to reflect.
You want to have it sort of matchy-matchy, but also enough that it's sort of going to come off the background and be visible. I was going to sort of concentrate more on doing the reflective lighting, sort of like Infinity War background type stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I also had a look at what the Neopets worlds looked like to try and get that sort of feel. Added all of the smoke and all of the sort of lighting effects and textures, and then Photoshop crashed on me and it took me ages to find where I had saved my file, and I had a freak out. And about 20 minutes later, I eventually found it and it was okay.
That was a really quiet freak out. I didn't hear you freaking out at all.
Oh, the more freaked out I am, the quieter I am. Yeah.
And was the rainbow like a last minute finishing touch, or were you always planning that?
No, the rainbow comes from the Neopets central area. When I looked on the map, they had like, it has this big rainbow.
Like
I think that's
Neopia.
Yeah, that's it. Neopet. And it's where I think the paintbrushes come from. So I decided to add that just because I was trying to add all of the epicness. And then I liked the idea of it reflecting off his helmet and things. And then I wanted to add those sort of like specks or I don't know, like glowy particles, sort of like, I guess there's a fire somewhere in the distance.
Oh yeah, particles are always like this, they're such a great shortcut.
I add them
finishing
in everything. And yeah, I think I'm actually really happy with this one. There's always details I want to keep working on. If I had like 100 hours to work on it, but this is finished. I think I'm very happy with it. I enjoyed doing all the lighting and the like reflections.
Whoa! Insert Alicia. Sorry to interrupt this video, guys. I just wanted to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of Insert Art. As you can see, we use so many monitors and lights, gadgets and stands, and today we actually just got a new delivery from Newer, and Jazza actually asked for some of their products and they just gave them to us for free. How awesome is that? Newer has got such affordable and such high quality production gear, everything that you need if you are looking to get into production and if you're looking to film your own YouTube videos. They are already doing a 15% off sale for Mother's Day, but if you want to get even more off, you can use the code Jazza to get 21% off all of their products. So if you need some Newer production equipment, then check the link in the description below. That is all from me. Back to the video.
I assembled my 4 Neopets. That's the Loop, the Irie, the Piofin, and the Akara. And when I was deciding what style to do this in, I did consider applying a quote-unquote realistic style to them, because pulling them into the real world, I could have gone really painterly, made them like realistic horses and dogs and cats and griffins. But then I realized that as kids, when we imagined our favorite cartoon characters interacting with us in the real world, our brains didn't translate them into realistic versions. We just saw them exactly as their cartoon selves in the real world, and yet it was completely believable and immersive to us, and I think that's what made childhood so magical. So I decided to keep the Neopets close to their original style because that stayed the most true to the spirit of my childhood imaginings. The next big challenge with this piece was a compositional one, because I knew I wanted a scene where me and my 4 Neopets are all looking at the computer screen, but in order to see all our faces and see the screen at the same time, it meant the viewer had to be like wedged in between us. So trying to just fit everyone into this crammed little space felt a lot like trying to fit the insert artist into this little room. So a lot of the thumbnailing for composition, I kind of just did in my head. I just found that quicker. I added in some items that I really loved having in Neopets. I always loved the smoothie shop, the slushies.
Yes.
Of course, in the corner I have a stack of negs. I used to spend so much time playing Mirka Chase. I almost never draw more than 1 character at a time in a scene. So to cram 5 of them in, plus computer and accessories and a bunch of negs.
She says that after doing, if you've seen the We Ruined Star Wars episode, where she drew like however many.
But there was 1 character technically, 6 times. Yeah, so here the challenge wasn't so much in the rendering, it was just in the composition perspective.
So much to draw as well.
Yeah.
So much work. It's
yeah,
amazing.
Trying to figure out how to actually draw each different Neopet and make it look true to form.
I know that I know exactly what they are.
So yeah, that character is me, and nothing says early elementary school like an Asian bowl cut fringe.
I had the fringe as well, and the pigtails.
You can be an honorary Asian with your bubble tea and your fringe.
Thanks, Mom.
I started with medium to dark grays because I wanted to create the cozy feel of playing computer games in a dark room in the aircon. And then I added subtle color to the areas where light would hit, and I left the darker areas desaturated because that's actually how human vision works. Like, the receptors in our eyes that see color only activate above a certain threshold of brightness, and in low lighting conditions we use a different set of receptors that only pick up grayscale. So that means when painting a scene, if there's a large enough area that's affected by darkness, there's going to be less saturation in general. But it got to a point when I was like, but it's just too flat. So just chucked in some highlights that I thought were too strong. But again, that's because my eyes were used to looking at a flat piece.
That's right. Yeah, I looked over and I was like, no, it looks fine to me.
Okay, great. It's so helpful to have an extra pair of eyes in the room. And yeah, just to really drive home the cozy feel, I put on a vignette, and the negs in the foreground, I blurred them so that the sharpest and the brightest all draws your attention towards the middle.
Adding the vignette, because I remember just putting that on everything, every photo I took, so that's like kind of like nostalgic as well. I think that works really well.
I always feel like it's so cliche and such a tacky shortcut, but it always works.
It works. It's like that and the gradient. You add a gradient and then it's immediately like good. I did that. Cool.
So, I think that brings us to the end. I'm a sucker for punishment, which is why I crammed this many elements into one thing. But in the end, I think this is what 8-year-old me would have wanted. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed a bit of a nostalgic trip down the Neopets lane.
What do you guys think you would have done to reimagine your Neopets?
Are your Neopets still starving like mine are? And as usual, thank you to our patrons. If you would like to join us on Patreon, link is in the description. There are several different tiers. If you click on the link, you can see what each tier gets. We are loving our master tier patrons. They are so much fun.
It's so much fun.
We actually love interacting with you on Discord in the live masterclasses. We love making like exclusive tutorials for you.
So if you want to get involved, links down below. And of course, as you mentioned, the Discord. So there's a Discord that you can join.
For free. You don't have to be a patron.
And we're on there.
It's a really fun bunch. Like lots of art, lots of funny comments, and it's a good time.
That's where you can put your fan art as well if you want to be featured in our next fan art video. Thank you so much for watching.
Tell us about your Neopets.
Yeah, what were their names?
Insert out.